And that covers the NES and Game Boy games. I can't wait to see what I'll be getting into now that we're going to be seeing some pretty crazy enemies from this point on. In my personal opinion, Mega Man 7 got the short end of the stick when it came to new enemies, as awesome as these two are. That's why I picked out some really good enemies that should be added into Mega Man Maker, starting with Bomb Sleigh, a sleigh that throws bombs as it passes by or when it's destroyed. I was kind of disappointed this enemy didn't make it into 1.9 since it was underutilized in Mega Man 7 as a whole. Bomb Sleigh is also pretty fast, making it a challenge to avoid, so watch out for that. Gilliam Knight, unicycle knights that roam around, but when a full moon hits, it turns into a wolf, making for a cute nod to Super Ghouls and Ghosts. While in wolf form, they're stronger and will attack by lunging at you. Though we may not really see a day and night mechanic in Mega Man Maker, one workaround I could see them doing is putting a transformation on a timer and even a toggle for whether the enemy transforms or not. This is an enemy that ultimately could go well with castle or spooky themed levels greatly. Stegosaurus. Listen, we need some dinosaur enemies, okay? Dinosaurs are awesome. This is a robot Stegosaurus that fires homing missiles and throws spinning spikes at you. This enemy could function as a pseudo mini-boss like Sedeka and could have options to toggle movement. So in other words, it could either be stationary or it could move forward at all times or move back and forth similar to Dechone. Also, dinosaurs are awesome, and nobody's gonna convince me otherwise.
We interrupt this program to bring you
Ride 'em Cowboy with these here dinos as they cross over hazards and jump over pits. Watch as they sprint at blazing speeds over the toughest cliffside. It'll work better than your average batting grasshopper, and it's free to ride everywhere you go. Just be sure you don't fall off. Technodons don't stop for no one. They don't give a shit. Add this here Technodon to Mega Man Maker and let everyone make their own prehistoric levels like never before. Also, I ask everyone watching this video to spread the word right now. Hashtag Justice for Slorophagonax. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by Larry the Cable Guy.
Hey, I think you got a phone call.
For me? Shoot. Larry the Cable Guy speaking.
Finally for Mega Man 7, our mini-boss is none other than Shiroko Machine GTV. This scary-ass bear can make ice blocks which they swat to attack you with. Put him somewhere with a ceiling and its roar will make icicles. This mini-boss boasts the most HP in Mega Man with a whopping 32 HP. Yes, you heard right, 32 HP. Shiroko Machine will make an awesome addition for anyone who wants to make Arctic-themed levels, myself included. Mega Man Maker devs, please add this as your new mini-boss for Mega Man 7's roster. Like with Mega Man 1 and 2, I'm gonna combine Mega Man and Mega Man and Base together, only because they more or less share the same assets. Starting things off, we have Gory 3. Now, I already know what you're about to ask me.
Chris, there's already a Gory 3 in Mega Man Maker.
And that is right and all, but I'm referring specifically to the Mega Man 8 version.
Oh, so what's the difference between this one and the Mega Man and Base version?
The only difference between this and the base version is their health, where the 8 version sports a whopping 6 HP.
Well, you requested a lot of mini-bosses that are beefy. Why do you want this one at Mega Man Maker if we've already got a Gory 3?
I hated that they nerfed the Break Dash's Buster, because it was actually a pretty decent way to mow down the more tanky enemies effectively, especially the Gories. This is just one of the reasons I want the Mega Man 8 version added. They've got the sprite in the game now, so all they gotta do is tweak the health and boom, Mega Man 8 Gory 3. Patum. This thing drops acid that turns into a puddle, with number 1 being stationary while number 2 can move along the ceiling. Similar to the acid drop gimmick from Mega Man 2, these things can change the acidity of acid and Burst Man water. But the developers could take this a step further and make water and lava variants, where the former can reduce acidity, douse fires, and is completely harmless, while the latter can ignite fires and unfreeze lava and firewalls. One thing I feel this game should try and do more of is take some creative liberties and make all kinds of really cool enemy variations, and Patum would definitely eliminate the need to use acid and water drops if creators are tired of using them. Tencrow. Sounds like a Pokemon name now that I think about it. A flying crow that's normally accompanied by other Tencrows, shooting their fans while flying in a wavy pattern. In the case of Mega Man and Base, they'll only attack if one of them is destroyed and then fly away afterwards, making this another enemy with 2 functions. They could also be launched from a Ho-Gale as seen in Mega Man 8, and they could even have an option for up to 4 additional Tencrows that'll follow along. Speaking of the Ho-Gale, however, This is an enemy I've been wanting ever since they added content from the non-8-bit games, and I am still yearning for it to be added. Hellgale is a flying whale machine that has 3 different functions. Yes, you heard that right. 3, count 'em 3. One where it drops small enemies from its belly, another where it hovers in place and drops ice blocks, and a third where it launches flying enemies from its mouth. With the amount of small enemies and gimmicks we have, Hellgale's customization could be off the charts, as we can have it drop walking bombs or fire mets, junk blocks or Blockman's blocks, or we could have it launch flying enemies like Diarn or Hotchkissin. The possibilities are just endless with this enemy, and the level of customization is already there with how many enemies we now have in Mega Man Maker. Once again, they do have the sprite, just like with Gory 3, so just make some adjustments, add a little bit more to it, and it'll be golden. Lastly, with an enemy exclusive to Mega Man at base, we've got Mukamakade. This creepy crawly crawls out of open holes on a wall and winds through tight passages, repeating the cycle after going off screen. This enemy has some potential for custom paths, similar to Boo Beam Trap, and it could also have an option to either come out of holes or from off screen. Speed options are also a must. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we are getting into the more creative side of Mega Man, because Mega Man 9 and 10 are home to some of the most creative and fun enemies in the series, whether they be a new spin on an existing enemy or brand new enemies entirely. Here are some enemies that I'd love to see from both games, starting with, out of Mega Man 9, Balloon Boo, a cute balloon enemy that floats up and down while trying to shoot you. If the head is destroyed, the balloon will float away, but if the balloon is popped, the enemy will try to tackle the player out of desperation. This is another enemy where there are 2 ways to defeat it, and it would complement the Neo Heli Metal very much for Sky or Carnival themed levels. Not to mention, I just love popping the balloon so much because of how amusing it is to do. Popo Heli, aka Bobo Heli. Like this is Bobo from Bobo 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 Bobo.
Holly Kalani, there's something that's far more important than money.
Anyways, these fly from above and approach your current position to blow flames at you, making them insanely hard to hit without a piercing weapon. The Mega Man series has been known to use the same shield attacker that behaves all the same, but a shield attacker that confronts you directly makes for a cool concept for an enemy. Popo Heli would also go well for fire-themed levels or even industrial-themed levels, and if the developers can get even more creative, they can add a variant that sprays acid or even water. And I swear on the life of me, if we don't get a Bobo reference with this enemy! Moving on. Scissor, or Scizor, to reference the Pokemon. Like, how funny is this? It's a pair of scissors that's trying to kill you. This little guy appears in halves, but then combines into one to try and slice you up. Like, what else can I say about it? It's creative, it's threatening, and makes for a great platforming and combat challenge. I really do say that quite a lot, don't I? But you know what they say, you can't beat paper without scissors, but you can't beat scissors without rock. Spin Cutter. These little guys will fall from above and spin like crazy once on the floor. These guys are basically Gabby walls with extra steps. But the fact that they are not invulnerable to any of your weapons makes them more than different enough from said enemies, which is exactly the reason I want this enemy in Mega Man Maker as well. Finally, for our mini-boss, Hauzo. First of all, I'm not making a Pink Elephants reference. These Titanic pachyderms interact with a ball, with the red one rolling it around while the green one bounces it. The biggest reason I chose this mini-boss is because, alongside a few other games, Mega Man 9 has absolutely no mini-bosses!
What is up with that?
Hauzo would make a great mini-boss to add to Mega Man Maker because it's challenging and could make for some interesting setups with their ball. And if they want to take it a step further, they could not only add additional colors like blue, yellow, orange, and purple, but they could also make the ball its own enemy or gimmick. This would allow players to interact with the ball via power adapter or even super arm. And lastly, there could be a spawner for the ball to allow builders to make unique rooms with this enemy. Man, I could just see so many possibilities with this thing. It's that crazy. And capping off all of the 8-bit games with Mega Man 10, our first runner-up is New Classical Canon. These function similarly to the Dampa cannons from Mega Man 8, and since the Dampa doesn't have very many colors to it, new classical cannon can make for a great alternative for level makers to allow their cannon enemies to fit with what level theme they have. Sephiroth rides at blazing speeds but will either deploy its cannon if destroyed, or speed up if the cannon is destroyed. We have rotors that interact with the player all the same, so to add Sephiroth would be cool to have because of the multiple ways you can defeat him. Sprinklin, a better version of the Springer that'll spray bullets if shot at or if they collide with the player. It's certainly one of the cooler versions of the Gabio Wall for sure, and without a doubt a great enemy to have for variety's sake. Surare Stamp, another awesome version of the Big Eye without a doubt, but this one has a bit of a twist. It only does small hops when the player is standing still or on the ground, and will only jump higher if the player is airborne, making Surare Stamp a challenge to avoid both as an enemy and an obstacle. The idea of an enemy interacting with you differently depending on your actions makes enemies like this pretty intimidating and far more interesting than Big Eye, that's for sure. Plus, there could be great potential to give it some more interactions with all kinds of destructible blocks. And finally, for our mini-boss, Octoball, an enemy that takes up an entire screen and can only be attacked by illuminating it with the Sheepman conveyor belts. Its only means of defense are the little Apache Patchies it spawns and the electric currents it generates that run along its wires. Since we currently don't have the Sheepman conveyors and platforms, however, it couldn't have a toggle to stay lit at all times along with a timer for how long it stays illuminated. This can also be affected by bell ringers, fuse lasers, and electric type weapons along with illuminating darkness. Well guys, we're at the home stretch, because we have finally arrived at Mega Man 11. Let's waste no more time and just get on with this. Fire Server. This little guy serves fire which can detonate explosives, melt ice, and ignite fires. When defeated, the gas tank will be thrown in an arc and then explode on impact. Like few other enemies, there could also be different variants of this enemy, like one that sprays water or acid, neither of which will explode or fly in an arc when defeated, but could instead be used as a platform or something you can interact with for all kinds of puzzle solving. The Impact Brothers! Koichiro, Koichiro, and Koisaburo. They are pile drivers that formulate Impact Man. They're fast and dangerous, trying to impale anyone that gets in their way while it's drilling through solid material. Unlike most other enemies, the Impact Brothers cannot be destroyed, period. Except maybe for Black Hole Bomb. That probably might do the job. The Impact Brothers are no conventional enemy, but rather an obstacle that creates for intense platforming challenges, since Mega Man Maker doesn't have the double gear system yet. So to compensate for this, however, they could have a speed option and make a better telegraph for when the Impact Brothers actually start to strike. Pickman. What I like to call the better version of Picket Man from Mega Man 1, because at least he doesn't have a shield and neither is he invincible to most of your attacks. The only reason I want this enemy in Mega Man Maker is because Mega Man 1's Picket Man sucks shit. Oh, come the fuck on. You know I'm right about Picket Man. Picket Man's boring and it sucks. Besides, he's just Mega Man 1's Picket Man, but without the shield and has less health, and that automatically makes this version better. Sniper Joe and Sniper Armor D. Yeah, once again choosing two enemies in one, bending the rules at this point, but do you even care? Sniper Joe in Mega Man 11 is pretty much just like Mega Man 1 Sniper Joe, where he'll chase you if you pass him. Sometimes, however, even if you're far away from him, he'll move towards you, making him a threat to the player. As for the Sniper Armor D, it functions similarly to Dichone from Mega Man 5, where it shoots downwards and moves forward. Unlike with Mega Man 2 Sniper Armor, you can either destroy the walker itself, or you can destroy the Joe piloting it, which in turn will destroy the walker as well. And last but certainly not least, Totemer. Oh wow, a mini-boss that doesn't actually involve you shooting its eyes. Anyways, how Totemer works is it'll split itself into 4 segments that will try to crush Mega Man, and will make itself immune to damage while spinning. With all the gimmicks we have in Mega Man Maker now, Totemer could have some interesting setups. And if we could get some alternate colors for this enemy, that would be really cool too. I could definitely see this mini-boss being the most challenging of all the mini-bosses I've chosen so far, making this yet another reason I want to see Totemer in Mega Man Maker. And that's my wish list of enemies for Mega Man Maker. I know I've asked for quite a lot, and some of these suggestions might be a little unrealistic, but these are what I consider the best possible additions for future updates. For my next wishlist video, I'm going to go over a lot of bosses, both Robot Master and Fortress bosses. This might be quite the doozy of a video, but you'll definitely be surprised by some of the choices on that list. I'll even do the same for gimmicks, weapons, and features. I'll admit, I have quite the laundry list of things I want in Mega Man Maker, so stay tuned for the next part of my wishlist series. But let me know what you think. Are my choices good? Should I have chosen something else? What enemies do you want added in Mega Man Maker? Feel free to discuss in the comments down below. And with that, I bid you all good day, folks. Until next time, this is Lunar Chris signing out.